Hello everybody, my name is Kyle Kalk and welcome to my week 2 review for Java 2 1409. I'm just going to start off by going over my code here, and as you can see I have the preferences.xml loaded up, and it's a very simple little bit of code here. I have a preference here for the delete, which when the user clicks it will delete the file that is stored whenever the API returns information. And then below that's the checkbox to check whether the user would like to receive information from the online API or the offline data source that's saved once the data is returned. So here's the settings fragment, and nothing too special happening in here. I have the on activity created that will get my click for the preference button, and it will make a toast, and then it'll also run the code that is inside of my preferences activity to delete the file. So when we go over to the activity here, as you can see, there's just one very simple little piece of code here that deletes the file and by the name of whatever it has been given. And as you can see in the master fragment, I've also done a little bit of changing of code. I'll go over it more in the main activity, but as you can see, I now check for the preferences, and I also check for the network connection. So now if one of the other returns, in this case for the preference, a true, or for the network connection a false, the user will load in default data, and if both check out to be correct, then it'll go through and it will load data from the API. So now we'll go into the main activity here, and as you can see I have an on activity result. It gets my shared preferences, it stores it as a boolean, and then it checks if it's false, which means it's not checked off. That means you will be getting API from online, and otherwise it is checked, and then you'll be receiving the data from the stored file. And right here is another public boolean, and this is just to return a false or true, again as the application loads up, to be able to tell the user that you can in fact get the data from online or offline on the application launch. So I'm just going to quickly start up the application now. We're going to run it in Genymotion. It'll load up here, and as you can see right now it says I'm connected to a network. So I can enter in Toy Story, search for movie. As you can see, everything comes up. Everything still works as intended. As you can see in portrait mode, I will flip it. There we go. And as you can see, everything is still working as intended. And everything is working the way it should. So now if I go into the settings, load up here its own view, and I can go check that for offline. We'll go back. It takes a little bit of time to actually go back, but now I have an alert that says this is working fine, just to make sure I was setting everything right. And now I'll also just go quickly over the aesthetics before I close the app and run it again. As you can see, one of my changes was for the background color, so I decided to make it a nice cream color. And I also changed the activity bar color to an orange, which really makes it pop off, I think, of the cream colored background. And the other change I had to make was up here. It now says Kyle's Movie Finder. That was a pretty simple change, and everything worked out really well for that stuff. Honestly, what I had the most trouble with this week was getting the list view to update, and also I was having an error in my code for getting the preferences to be correct and how to implement that with making sure the correct code would run. That actually was a fairly simple solution. The list view actually took a little bit longer for me to get working. So in here I'm just going to quickly go back into the, make sure I have that checked that it's going to load offline data. I'm going to go out. So it says means we're offline. We're going to back out of here one more time. I'm going to flip that around. So go into Movie Finder. You've loaded default data. Still works as intended. We'll go in here. Go into the settings. Let's clear the cache. It says you are not connected. I have to take that toast out, but otherwise we go back. Once again, we have to wait for it to load. And as you can see, everything loads out of the image view there. The Toy Story down here has to be changed, but other than that, everything is working as intended. I thank you for watching my video, and have a great week 2, and I look forward to seeing everyone's work in week 3. Thank you very much.